Silence leads to speculation. It's kind of one of the worst tributes that human beings almost collectively share, right? If something happens to somebody and then that person is not talking about what happens, it causes our imaginations to run wild with all of these possibilities of what might actually have happened to this person. And we're seeing that take place right now with Donald Trump. It's now been, 8 days, 9 days since he was shot at that rally. He obviously was immediately taken to the hospital. And to this day, we don't have any information about his health. Remember in 2016, he refused to release any kind of medical evaluations or anything. Instead, he released a note from his doctor who said he'd be the healthiest person to ever serve as president. Then the doctor admitted later that he wrote that note in 5 minutes in his car while Trump waited outside for the doctor's note. And now Trump's telling us that, okay, yeah, they got my ear. Oh, it was beautiful. It was an amazing thing, he said during a speech to donors this week. But they're not releasing any information. If it really was as clear-cut as Donald Trump or his campaign says it is, can we have the evaluation from the medical professionals? Did they do a psychological evaluation of him? And I don't just mean to find out if he has any kind of mental issues. An experience like that, like being shot at, that's going to cause some psychological trauma. For anybody, doesn't matter how good your mind is, you go through something like that, you're going to have issues. And you need to talk those through with a therapist before they build up and become even bigger issues. So did Trump have a psych evaluation? If so, can we see that? Can we get the medical reports? And so far, again, over a week later, they haven't released anything. And that, of course, is leading to rampant speculation. Dr. Jonathan Reiner, a professor of medicine at George Washington University in Washington, D.C., put on social media, quote, "It's an understatement to say that it's bizarre that a presidential candidate has sustained an injury from an attempted assassination and no medical report is issued to describe his evaluation and the extent of his injury." Journalist Brian Beutler, he put out on social media, he said, "My read, if the medical evaluation matched Trump's description, he would have okayed its release. He wants the cred of having been shot, being shot at, and lightly injured accidentally isn't good enough for him, so as always, he chose a lie and a cover-up." Former Republican Party Chairman Michael Steele said, "Outside of Trump telling us he's fine, how severe was the wound? Did he lose part of his ear? Bullets do terrible things to flesh. How long for recovery? Will the wound require cosmetic surgery? What about reports that it may not have been a bullet which wounded him, but glass from the shattered teleprompter?" Could that be why we're not getting the medical report? Now, initially, of course, reports did suggest that it was not the bullet, but in fact the shattered teleprompter that got his ear. Those reports were then retracted, or not necessarily retracted as much as just deleted. So we don't really even know, and I don't want to get into the world of conspiracy theories here, because a horrible thing did happen to the horrible man. But if he went to the hospital and they found little glass shards, or they looked at the wound and said, oh yeah, this definitely wasn't a bullet that did this, glass would do this if it shattered and flew at you, is that why they don't want to release it? And again, worst part of human nature, silence leads to speculation. Trump doesn't want anything to come out that could undermine what happened to him, because that's what he's going to be campaigning on from now until the election. And the fact that they're not releasing any kind of medical report, I don't know, it does lean in a little bit to they could be covering something up. And here's the thing, it may not be even covering something up about the shooting, right? If he went to the hospital, guess what? They're not just going to look at his ear, bandage it up, and according to Eric Trump, they didn't even use stitches. They're not just going to bandage him up and send him on his way. He's going to have a lot of other evaluations done too. So it might not even be related to the ear of what they're trying to keep from us. It could be when they were doing the blood pressure, maybe some blood tests, maybe all of that. Maybe they found something that the Trump campaign really doesn't want the public to know about. And of course, all we can do is speculate unless they decide to finally release those reports. Hi everyone, this here is little Athena. And Athena would like to know why you haven't subscribed to Fair and Balanced yet. So please, don't let Athena down. Subscribe today.